Grow Your Own Reader Early Years Reading Meeting. At the end of the reception year, children are assessed against a number of goals in literacy to assess whether they have met the expected level. These are comprehension, word reading, and writing. So comprehension is all around being able to ask questions and talk about the things that they have read or have had read to them. Writing is obviously makes sense, so it's using the skills that they've learnt in their phonics to have a go at writing words and sentences. So we're looking for children being able to apply it to get most of the sounds in words, and that other people should be able to read their writing. And word reading really does encompass the phonics learning that we're going to talk about a little bit today. So it's about reading simple sentences aloud, some common exception words, so they're words that don't follow the typical pattern of spelling, and so children need to learn on sight, using phonics to blend and read words that can be sounded out, and also recognising all of the letter sounds for each letter of the alphabet and at least 10 digraphs. Hopefully by the end of this meeting tonight you should have an idea of how you can support your child on their reading journey towards the end of this year, and obviously the start of their reading journey moving through into school. We like to talk about the reading journey as like a tree, and this diagram is actually on our website for you to have a look at too and look in more detail. But basically you start right at the bottom when your child is born with those seeds, and everything you do in terms of communicating with your child up until them starting to read are the foundations of reading. So it's all that talking, babbling, reading stories, chattering, singing nursery rhymes, and they're all really important, and very important that children have those experiences, ideally before they come to nursery. During their time in nursery, children continue their growth as readers with lots of opportunities to develop those pre-reading skills further. So lots of talking, listening, playing, copying. And so we might have things like nursery rhymes for children to learn. We might do lots of listening activities, lots of talking opportunities, encourage children to speak in sentences, encourage them to speak clearly. We might also have things like lots of resources in role play for them to have a go at telling stories with like puppets and animals. When they move through into reception, they kind of hit the leaves of the tree. So they've got those good strong roots that we've been building, and now they need to start on the mechanics of reading, which we support with phonics teaching, and we use the Read Write Ink scheme in school. As they grow in confidence, they then start to read their own books. So phonics teaches them all the sounds they need to know to have a go at reading different words. So children move from recognising individual letters to blending words and finally being able to read and understand a sentence, but they need lots of opportunities to practice this both at home and at school, and also lots of opportunities to retell familiar stories to build their imagination and their experience of kind of how a story works. And then finally, for them to flourish as readers, we need the right conditions at home and school, so the sun and the water really for the plant. They need to be surrounded by books, story language, and fostering a love of reading. Time sharing books with your child is never wasted, and the experiences they gain from learning and hearing you read will foster a love of reading in them and enable them to go far. So, in this video you're going to find out a little bit about what phonics is, how we teach it and what you should do to help your child. You're going to find out a little bit about the homeschool reading books that we have, and also some tips to help your child progress. So what is phonics? Well, phonics is one method of teaching children how to read and write by using individual letter sounds in words. So before children start to learn to recognise letter sounds, they work on hearing, remembering and copying other sounds, and this is a really vital step to learning to be a reader. So it's things like being able to copy a pattern of sounds made by a musical instrument, but really simple pattern. It might be making noises with your hands, so you might clap, click, clap, click, and hearing and remembering that pattern supports children as they become readers. So how do we teach phonics at Woodfield? Well, as we've said, we use the Read Write Ink scheme, and there's lots of information about Read Write Ink available on our website, and if you just Google it, there's a lot of information on the internet. The principles of Read Write Ink are basically that we learn one new sound a day, and then we practice the other sounds that we already know. We practice blending, which is breaking down the sounds in a word and joining them back together to be able to read them. We have simple decodable books that the children can attempt to use their phonics to read. And we also learn what's called tricky words. So they're those common exception words we mentioned before, which are words that can't be sounded out, and we just have to learn to read them on sight and from memory. So just a few tips from us. We learn the letter sounds not the letter name. So what's the difference? Well, if you look at the word below, using the letter sounds, this is k, at. And then we can blend them together and we get the word cat. If we use the letter names, which lots of people do teach their children, it would be C-A-T, and then that wouldn't blend together to make a word. So although you may know the letter names and you may have worked with your child on letter names, we really focus on the letter sounds, and that's what we need you to be supporting your child with. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't learn the letter names, but initially we want the children to be confident with the letter sounds. Capital letters versus lowercase. So what should we use and when? So when we're teaching children the phonics, the shape that we show them of the letter, the written letter, are the lowercase letters. We avoid using capital letters when we're first learning our phonics, the only exception being at the start of a name and also when we start to write a sentence. So we avoid block capitals and we initially just look at the lowercase letter shapes. So please try to avoid using capital letters if you're writing anything for your child. Obviously not at the start of their name, that needs to be a capital letter, but that's something that we learn as we go on. But it's really important that children get confident with those lowercase letter shapes. So just to show you here as well, something that often confuses people. The top line, both of these letters have the same sound and the same name. So we've got A, so both of those are an A, and the name of both of those is an A. So it isn't that the capital letter is an A and the lowercase is an A. Both of them are an A and both of them are an A. Same for the one at the bottom. Both of them are an O sound and both of them are the letter L. Okay, so the letter name and the letter sounds goes with the letter whether it's a capital or lowercase form. So here are some of the resources we use from the Readwriting Scheme to teach your child phonics in school. So you might have heard your child talking about Fred, or if you've watched any of our phonics videos, you might have heard us talking about Fred talking. Fred is the frog, and Fred can only talk in pure sound, so he can't join them together to make words. So our job is to help him by joining together the sounds that we hear to make words. So we might have Fred on our shoulder, and we might make the sounds dog, and the children will blend them to make the word dog. So Fred helps us with that. On the top right, we've got the letter cards that we use. So this is both sides of a card. So we have the letter shape on one side, and then on the other we have a picture that helps the children initially to remember not only the sound, but also how that sound is formed. So each of the pictures starts with the same sound that we're teaching. So this is Maisie, and she likes to walk over mountains. So you can see down at the bottom left, there are all the sounds from set one with the pictures, and there's a little phrase on each of them that we say to the children as we're learning to write it to help them to remember. So these can be sent out to you to help you. They're just a little tip for the children to help them to remember when they're having a go at writing, and they are really, really useful. We move really quickly away from showing the children the picture to just showing them the letter shape though, because we want them to remember the sound and the letter shape, not the word and the picture that goes with it. And last of all, on here we've got some green word cards. So these are words that we can sound out. Each of the dots at the bottom is what's called a sound button, and they represent all of the sounds in the word. So you can see the word at has got 2 sounds, so it's got 2 dots. The word mad has got 3 sounds, so it's got 3 dots. Now, as children move through to learn things like sh and th, they're represented by a line because they're 2 letters that make 1 sound.
Hi
so
everyone,
each week we make a new speed sound session video to go with the sounds that we've been learning.
Now,
so
we've been
if you want to do one thing to support your child on their journey,
to learn our
it's to
new
check the
sounds.
VLE each
So
week,
now is your chance
to have
to
a look
show
at
your
these
glow at
videos,
what we've
or
been
to go
doing.
onto our
Now,
website
don't worry if you
to
can't
have a look at the
remember them.
videos
You
which
can
are on
just
there
keep
so you don't
watching
have
us
to log
over and
in.
over again
The
until
advantage
you
of the
can.
VLE is that you can share the
make sure
learning
you're
your
sitting
child's been doing.
comfortably,
But this
because I
does it
want
all
to
for
hear
you. So
you
if you're not
joining in
sure
when
what
it's
sounds
your
we've been
turn.
learning, if you're not sure how to make those sounds,
So here's
and
our
if you're not
first
sure around
sound.
all of the Fred talking and blending, these videos
My
do it all
turn.
for you. Your turn.
Well done, everybody. Now, when we're writing our letter we have to remember our friend Maisie. And we go down Maisie and over her mountains. So we have to say, Maisie, mountain, mountain, to help us remember. Here's our next sound. Ah. My turn. Ah. Your turn. Oh, well done. I could hear lots of you joining in that time. Okay, now when we're writing the letter A, we have to start right at the top and we have to go round the apple and down the leaf. See if you can have a go. Round the apple and down the leaf. Here's our next sound, everyone, and this one is S. My turn. S. Your turn. Okay, now when we're writing our S, we have to remember the snake. So we start at the snake's tongue and we slither down the snake. Why don't you have a go? Slither down the snake. Who's ready for the next sound? This is one of my favourites. D. My turn. D. Your turn. Who's ready to have a go at writing? So we're going to start here, right next to the dinosaur's neck, and we're going to go round his bottom, up his tall neck and down to his feet. Why don't you have a turn? Round his bottom, up his tall neck and down to his feet to make the letter D. Okay, that's all of our sounds for this week. So remember, if you were finding it a bit tricky to remember, you can just keep watching over and over again until you can. We can't wait to see you in school next week all the sounds that you've remembered. Don't forget to have a go at writing them too, and remember our little rhymes that help us to remember. Bye! So just to show you how to get to them, if you go onto our website at woodfieldprimaryschool.co.uk, there's a tab at the top that says curriculum. If you click on that, there'll be a line that says early years. That's what you're looking for. And on early years, you will see grow your own reader. And if you go and grow your own reader, there's the picture that I mentioned earlier. And then there are the videos as well near the bottom. And they will be updated each week with the new video. We've also got our VLE, which you access via the pupil login in the top left-hand corner of the page. Once you've logged in with your child's details, then you will see a page like the one at the bottom left that just tells you what new home learning has been updated. So as well as the phonics, we also put our book time activities, which is what we do in an afternoon when we focus on a lovely story each week and do lots of linked activities. And this just has those activities on there as well, so you can listen to the story with your child, answer some questions with them, and then have a go at the activities so you can kind of follow up what they're doing. And one thing that lots of parents ask us is they want to know what their child's been doing in school. Well, this is the perfect way to find out. Once you've had a go at the activities, you can then share them with us on there. This is what it looks like when you go onto one of the activities. So this is the phonics, and it's got some work from a child on there that they've shared with us, which is fantastic. We love to see what you get up to at home. It's also a really good place to find ideas about how other parents are doing the phonics with their children, to give you ideas of things you could do with your child too. So for more information on Read Write Inc, you can check out their own YouTube channel. They have a parent playlist. All that we ask is that you don't jump ahead of us in terms of the sounds. So keep track on those videos of the ones that we've been doing, but please don't jump ahead, because it's important we all learn them at the right pace and together. We don't want children rushing ahead because it impacts on their learning in school. So do's and don'ts: use the videos on the school website and YouTube to ensure you say the sounds correctly and you can support your child to blend words. Encourage your child to look for letters around them when you're out and about walking, and even already blend words together whenever you can. So making words like at, and getting your child to have a go at blending them and telling you what it is. And we are planning on doing some live phonics sessions, which we'll talk about in a minute, but we're planning on doing some of those coming up, which we'd love you to attend. They'll be on Zoom and will be a great chance for you to find out more about what your child's learning. So some don'ts: don't use those letter names when trying to blend words, because it won't work. Don't tell your child they're wrong for using letter sounds they're actually right. Please don't write in block capitals, and don't worry if your child seems to be struggling. Some children move a little slower than others, but that's okay. And practice, practice, practice. Basically, that's the best way to support your child's phonics. So encourage your child to watch the video updates we share to support them to practice recognising and saying the sounds. Why not help your child to make their own set of Set 1 cards? So basically just cut some paper up and get them to write down the sounds we know, and then they can use them to practice and even join in with some of the blending activities on the videos.
Following the success of daily phonics sessions on Zoom when we were in lockdown, we'd like to run a monthly session for families, which will be after school and will just be a chance for you to sign in and join in with some phonics games. And this will just support your child to keep adding to their phonic knowledge. So some more information will follow about that, and hopefully you'll be able to join us as often as possible. Homeschool reading books. So it's a really exciting time for children when they first bring home reading books. We do delay sending them out a little bit just because there's a lot for children to contend with when they first start school, and also we want to make sure that they can be successful with the book. So we like to make sure that they've started their phonics journey before they start bringing home books. So you will get a range of different books, which we'll talk about in a minute, to come home with your child. So you will get some books that have a green bookmark in them. These are phonics reading books, and this means that your child can practice using the sounds they've learnt in class to read the words. So they should be able to read most of the words in this book by sounding them out. They might also have some tricky words in them which can't be sounded out and just need to be remembered, so these ones are okay for you to tell your child what they say. Your child will bring home is what we call our reading skills book, and this will have a red bookmark in it. These are more difficult words in there that children can't sound out using phonics, but they develop those other reading skills, that comprehension we talked about. So these books are about you reading them with your child, supporting your child to answer the questions, and even looking for some words that they do know in there and can have a go at sounding out. And it's all about the chat around the book and talking about it and seeing if you can help your child to understand what's going on. Some are non-fiction and some are stories. Some children, when they first start out, will bring home books that have got no words in them instead of a phonics book. Now, this isn't a bad thing. This is just that we've identified a need with your child to develop some other skills. So it could be they need to develop their vocabulary, or it could be that they need to develop their ability to tell a story. So that'll be why they have one with no words in. Please don't worry. It's just a different skill that we're working on. So books will be ones we feel children will be successful with. Phonics books will link to the sounds they're learning, or in the case of books with no words, it's to develop other skills. All books need to be returned to school on a Friday, and we send home a new one on a Monday. So we ask you to try to remember this. Completing the question with your child means that we can keep a track of how they are getting on. So there'll be a question in each time you bring home a book, and we do ask you to fill these in. These are a record that you've read, but also contribute to your child's learning journey. And last of all, we're trying to build a love of reading in our children. So remember, there is more to reading than phonics, and it's important to still try and read as many books as you can to your child and share as many opportunities to read. It doesn't have to be their reading book. So daily stories are a great way to foster a love of reading, develop vocabulary and build comprehension skills. Take a look at our book time sessions on VLE for some more ideas of things that don't cost a lot of money but can support your child's love of reading. We also have a fantastic Instagram page, Woodfield Book Club, where we share recommendations for books for all ages, but there's always some posts around early years type books, and that'll give you an idea of what we're reading together in school as well. So I hope you found this useful. If you've got any questions, just grab one of our team. We're more than happy to talk to you about it. And we hope to see you on your child's phonics journey, joining in with our videos on the VLE and also joining our Zoom sessions.